Spiderman does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out!
Yes, look out, because we are back. It's me, Graphic Man, and I am joined by Spinner Rack Studio Dave. Hello, Dave. How are you doing?
Good. Hello, everybody.
And we are just excited and ready to go. We were talking in the green room backstage, and I think this is going to be a really, really good episode. For those of you following Nielsen ratings, this is episode 3. That's very important somewhere to somebody. And we're going to have a great time tonight. I don't know what our theme's going to be. It's almost as if, hey, how about Spider-Man? We might as well talk about Spider-Man. But of course, you guys know that lately I've been obsessed with making covers for some of my old hardback books. So I'll show you a few of those, and then we'll get right into Spider-Man, I promise. So first up is Tarzan, the Untamed. And I chose this brand new cover looking design. And I kind of kept the old logo on there. There's the lion. Every lion's different for my Tarzan books, and a back cover from the 50s. So there's Tarzan the Untamed. If you look at the original cover to Untamed, it's okay. I just thought it could be a lot better. So here's the Return of Tarzan. I believe this is the second book. After you had Tarzan, you had to have his return. And this is kind of what the original cover would look like back in the day by J. Allen St. John. It's not too bad. I just decided to go with the more 1950s rendering. And here's the lion for that. So the Return of Tarzan. But you're probably wanting to see Escape on Venus. At least I don't think I've shown this one already.
No.
But, and I put that on the spine. I thought that was such a great image. And the back cover from Ace Paperbacks. So going along with the Venus theme, here, this is kind of what the original cover looked like almost 100 years ago. Note the letter V going over and touching the skull. I thought that would be a great image for the spine, but I wanted the skull to be more by itself, if that will ever focus. So I moved up the title logo, and there you see a sword sticking down. The back cover, I thought was just fabulous artwork.
Yeah.
Good old Carson. And so almost done with those. Here is the Son of Tarzan. Now, I went with the Frazetta cover. I thought, how could I resist that? It's just so tough looking. This is kind of what the original cover looked like about 100 years ago, which is not bad. I just preferred that. So I figured, hey, these are made one of a kind, and might as well. There's the different lion for that one. So that's the Edgar Rice Burroughs. We got that out of the way. Let me check our chat. Because, Dave, I'm just getting so excited. I'm neglecting all these duties. Here's Recess. Says, hooray, it's Wednesday. Great thumbnail. Well, thank you, Recess. Hey, Gratu Orloff's there. Hello, Gratu. Scotty says, first. Well, Scotty, yeah, you're first. All right. Here's Michael Taylor. Hello, Graphic Man and Spinner. And hello, Recess. And Missing Mars welcomes all the friends of the old fossils. Michael Taylor says, hello, Scotty. Hello, Mars. And I Am One of Us is here. Hello, I Am One of Us. And Meyer Greenblatt. Fantastic. Greeting webheads. Yes. Here's Fireball. Hello. Missing Mars again. And Eric Breen. You have a green room now. Yes. Yeah. But we're colorblind, so we don't. It could be anything. Here's Michael Taylor again saying hello to Eric. Hello, Michael. Gary's here. Hello, Gary. And Comic Book Curator is here. Hello. Curator's been posting a lot of videos lately. You got to check him out. Here's Maranya. And everybody saying hello. There's Paulo. Yeah, I know. Paulo, he's my favorite. I know I'm supposed to be a John Carter. I am. I like John Carter, but Carson's just my absolute favorite. I'm one of those weird guys. Those Edgar Rice Burroughs covers are almost as good as the new editions being put out. Yeah, I've seen the Just Go art. It's fabulous. I think that was one of them I used on there. But yeah, Scotty's here. Yes, remember he's first. Here's Dave. Hello, Dave. Oh, yeah, says Dave. I was helping my dad understand again that all the cats are still in here. Okie doke. He's busy. All right, Ron. Ron's here. Hello, Ron. And 30 stories, 80s music. After Venus, we have Tarzan Boy. And Graphic Man Fantastic. Why, thank you so much. Meyer, Gary, Mr. Breen, CBC, Maranya, Apollo, Fireball, and Scotty Gratu. Hello. Little English there at the end. I'm doing to Who's on First skit. Okay. All right.
Evan Costello.
He's on second or something like that. Okay.
Great skit.
Dave, these are roller skates. They've got the little spider on the wheels. And here he is. What a front. And you put your so you tie your foot in here. But I noticed that it's Spider-Man is written upside down on the back of that. But anyway, I've got a left and right, but these are a little too small for me. They might be Jackson Roy Kirk size, but I don't know for sure. But I thought everybody would get a kick out of seeing some Spider-Man roller skates. It's not every day do you see Spider-Man roller skates. And kick things off, this is, you'll never guess what that is. That is a lawn sprinkler.
Oh, wow.
Put the garden hose there, and Spider-Man spins around. And not only does he spin web, he spins water all around. And yeah, that's crazy.
Micah, it doesn't look like, luckily, it was used much outside, huh?
No. My son used it once or twice, and I thought, I'm taking that inside.
Yeah.
And I know these are little cheapo cars you'd get from McDonald's, but I thought they were cool. Spider-Man mobile. And you push Spider-Man's head, and this web, I don't know if you saw that flip down, the web goes down to catch the bad guy or something like that. That's one Spider-Man car. They made another one. You don't know if you have these, Dave, or you probably be playing with them all day long. So there's Spider-Man car. And as the wheels go, these legs go back and forth.
Yeah.
They move a little bit. So not terribly exciting, but it is a Spider-Man car. So, and one cool thing to show before I go to you, this was sent to me by the Jackson Roy Kirk, who I mocked earlier. I'm sure he'll forgive me. It's a nice giant Pez dispenser. Totally appreciate that. And but I'm excited to see what you've got going. So let me catch up with a chat. And let's see, where did we leave off? Somewhere around in here. There we go. How dare you have a theme dedicated to that hubcap stealing? You'd have to know the Geeky Puppet Show to understand Maranya's joke here. But yeah, I thought about referencing that. But yeah. J. Jonah Jameson is a hoot on the Geeky Puppet Show. Taking your feet with them. Okay, yes. What year on the skates? Oh, you're asking my eyesight to see that. Oh, boy. I'll have to get back to you during a break.
Yeah, it's probably the same color, huh?
It's very old plastic. So I'm just asking for that. And friend, yes. I use the 3 J's, J. Jonah Jameson. These are all running gags. You'd have to watch the Geeky Puppet Show. McDonald's just does not do fun toys. I agree. Every figure has to have a giant head, and I don't like I like things to look more proportionate. Very cool stuff. Why, thank you, Michael. Did Peter Parker ever own a car in the comics? he was given the car by the Human Torch in Amazing Spider-Man. I assume he owned it. I don't know.
I don't think I pulled it, and I looked at it through my boxes. There's an issue somewhere in the 100 where he's in like a Spider-Mobile, looks like a dune buggy.
Yeah.
And it's like going up the wall or something.
Yep, he had that for a few issues. I don't know if it was a marketing gimmick. To answer Dave's question here, I don't know if the vehicle was registered to Peter Parker. That might give something away to the New York authorities. He did have a scooter that he bought in the 1960s, the Spider Bug. Cool. Well, cool, Michael, cool.
And why be stuck in traffic when you can web swing through the city?
Oh, yeah, but don't you know that would put out a window or two? You know, Spidey did, yeah. So Peter didn't technically own it. Yeah, he did have a car in the TV show. Okay, normal call. I don't know. You know, in New York, they take the train and the shuttle and the subway to everything, or a taxi. Last name first, first name Spider. I assume. Yes, great. All right. Well, that's good. We got caught up with the chat. So, Dave, why don't you show us something, and then we'll chat some more about it.
Well, first of all, a couple housekeeping. I apologize for the background. I was going to do this broadcast out in my comic book room, and about 15 minutes before this show started, it dawned on me I have a very large video file that you guys are going to see. It's of the comic book room, but it was not on my laptop, so I could not have accessed it. So back here, I'm in my office den right now. But anyway, so I'll start off with this book, which of course Micah did a fabulous mock-up of. And this is ASM 39, John Romita Sr.'s first issue on the book. And Micah, that was just a fabulous mock-up. And I joked with Micah. I said, Micah, don't you wish that both of us had the physiques that these two guys have? Micah, go back to your photo there real quick, your mock-up if you can.
Well, I've let myself go since Christmas, 95. But yeah.
So, and then, I'm not going to, show like just kind of an odds and ends of Spider-Man books and stuff. It's not going to be like Spider-Man 1 through 20, but I suppose I should show issue number 1.
Fantastic.
And there he's visiting the Fantastic Four.
Hello, Lead Paint and Gotham City.
And as I was pulling this out, I just happened to have next to it this book.
With Spider-Man, yes.
Yeah, and it kind of like, I was about ready to go buy it. And I thought, oh, heck, look there's Spider-Man. And, there they are trying to sell poor old Daredevil, number 1. Remember when we introduced Spider-Man? Now we continue the mighty Marvel tradition with Daredevil. And, of course, they have the FF. Yep. So Daredevil didn't even get all of his cover. He had to share it with Spider-Man and FF. All right, we'll skip to, and you're going to see a couple of issues between this and the video, but I have out in my comic room. But here is ASM number 6, and of course, this is the first appearance of the Lizard. And one of my favorite Ditko covers. I'm glad you guys can't throw anything at me. I'm not the biggest of Ditko fans. I like John Romita Sr. Much better on Spider-Man, but this is probably one of Ditko's favorite covers for me. And then I don't know if there's any video game players, but in the most recent PS5 video game, Spider-Man, Kraven the Hunter is one of the primary villains. And here he is in his first appearance.
Beautiful. And the chameleon on there is underrated.
Yeah. And he's actually in the video game too. Yes, I'm going to admit I play the Spider-Man PS5 game. I'm not very good at them. You know, we fossils don't have quite the eye-hand coordination of these youngsters. But and there's, of course, Daredevil sharing the cover, and he's still in his old costume there.
Yes.
You know what's kind of weird is you look at the leg right here.
Uh-huh.
It looks like it's like, damn, Spider-Man broke his leg.
That's right.
Right, does it?
That's right.
And here we have the torch getting in the way of the Green Goblin.
I traded my copy of that for Fantastic Four number 26 back in 1992.
And
I regret it.
On that cover, I don't recall.
I beg your pardon? Oh, well, Kirby, but the Hulk and
the Hulk
the
cover.
Avengers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I needed it to fill my run, and beautiful Scorpion.
And there's the first appearance of Scorpion. This might be my second favorite Ditko cover. And speaking of JJJ, here he is in his first Spider Slayer robot.
Yeah, when you read that story, you think he's really got him. There's no way he's going to get out of this. Yeah.
That bright yellow cover.
Yeah, and they're talking about Ditko and Ramita in the chat. That is a good discussion to have. Those are the two best, and they do have their own flavor. So, and that's a great cover right there too.
Yeah, here's kind of an important cover. And then here we have issue 41 with the introduction of the Rhino.
Sweet.
And you will see a Rhino statue later on in a video.
Oh, good. Looking forward to it.
And then maybe finally for this round, Mike, unless you want me to go a little bit more, here is issue 42. Of course, that is J. Jonah Jameson's son.
Yes.
Who's an astronaut who turns into a villain, and just love the colors on it.
Yes. Brilliant.
Do you want me to continue on, or do you want to?
A couple more, sure.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, I'll put a couple more here.
Oh, the Shocker. Yeah.
And here is the Shocker.
Artistically, I'll give you something to pay attention to. You see all the grooves in those columns that he's knocked over? That guy had to get up the ruler and draw all those lines.
Yeah.
At those angles. That's I would quit.
And of course, we are now in the Romita Senior era.
Yeah.
Which, as I noted, started with 39. And then I'll end this round with a cover you guys have seen quite a bit. Spider-Man number 50. This is not a bad one. It's got some spine ticks. It's a comic that I kind of. By the way, I probably own these books 40 years.
Yeah.
And this was a cover I was going to upgrade at some point, and then I never did. And now it's too expensive to upgrade. So.
Now that book right there, that is the colorist saves the day. I'm not saying the art's bad and it needed saving. I'm just saying sometimes the colorist doesn't get appreciated, but right there.
Yeah.
That colorist definitely earned his paycheck for the whole month right there. So.
And Mike could talk about using a ruler to draw lines.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's amazing back then what they could do with the fading of colors, different hues of the same color. And, I think they can do that pretty easily now digitally, but back then it's really amazing what they could do.
Agreed.
And all for what, 12 cents?
Beautiful stuff. Fantastic. Michael Tanner says, Spinner, great books. They look to be in fantastic condition. Well, don't worry, Michael. I'm going to make up for that. So, Nice round one spinner, says Missing Mars. Agreed. Um, I to curator or whoever asked about the skates, I cannot see the date if there is one on there. These might be from some country that didn't label anything. Who knows? But Dave, did you ever get a pack of cards from 1992 that there were 90 cards, and that was the checklist in the back? But did you ever get this set?
I think I do, Micah. It's down in my basement.
You probably do.
Yeah, there was a. Well, no, wait. Was it all by Bagley?
Oh, it was all over the place.
Okay.
All over the place. So here's Betty, but they had the old days. They had so here's Eric Larson. Sorry for the blurriness, but I thought it was a pretty good set. It had a mixture of modern as well as the classics. Like, for example, you can't get much more classic than that. So, pretty good card set. Sometimes comic guys don't collect cards, but I thought it worth noting that back in 1992, I couldn't resist. So, I think I got like 4 sets of this. Put one in, those little sheets.
Yeah.
Man, kept one in a box like that. I wanted to show, and where am I on the chat? Nice. I'll go to Missing Mars when we get back. So let me show you a couple of books that. Now, this one is going to cause some controversy because 90% of the audience will not like it. A lot of people hate this cover. But we're not afraid to talk about the sensitive subjects on this show. And I thought it was interesting. Of course, that Flash is a photographer who's caught a picture of Spider-Man without his mask. And I thought it interesting that whoever this guy is, he looked like a pretty decent Spider-Man. And for some of you that didn't care for the black costume, this was a great book that, had the red costume in mind. Some people hate it. Some people don't talk about it, but I don't mind showing it. Not that I particularly love it. I just not afraid of it.
I hate to say I don't care for it.
That's fine. That's fine. Like I said, we're not scared to show anything. I always like this cover of Marvel Team Up. I mean, Spider-Man's, he could look better, but something about those old days, that 25-cent cover. Now, here's a goodie. Marvel Team Up number 11s.
Yeah, that's
Humans. And this book would make certain people that have channels that devote way too much time to things like the Mark Jewelers ad. We're having a little fun with people, but yeah, it does have a Mark Jewelers ad.
Micah, you can actually look at your Mark Jewelers ads. Most of them are in cases.
That's right. That's right. This one is special because it kind of has 2 covers, but not really. So here's the cover. And then this page is made of a cover, and it's a Menon insert. And you see the GIs there and all the honeys that they can't wait to daydream about. So the good-looking babes. And how do they get close? Well, they use Menon products, of course. So I believe this was definitely geared towards the GIs.
Yeah.
And so it's got, like, I call it 2 covers because the page is the same slickness of the other. And well, I just love that ad. Guy gets called into the boss's office and he says, I've had enough of this place. But
now, Mike, I have that book and I it's been a long time since I've looked at it. The first 2 pages you just showed, are they in the regular non insert books, I wonder, or is it just for that?
Well, I kind of wonder if this was for GIs,
Yeah,
especially on the base.
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so you might check your copy number 11. Does it have that extra cover-ish material? So
Yeah.
it's just great stuff. Spider-Man pretty much saves the day in this book, and does it by himself. And he can't wait to be, get back to New York. Enough of this, but I always thought that was a great book. And because we had a Mark Jewelers, well, then I have to show a price variant. So there's the 30-cent price variant. For all the people that care about that, anyway, I'm sure the cover artist out there is probably making some people very excited. But that's a little Kill Raven. Here's Peter Parker #1. A great cover. I believe that's Sal Buscema. Tarantula looks fantastic. And one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid in the 70s, you go, I've got a chance to get a Spider-Man #1. You better grab it. So
you might be brained on that book today.
Oh, good. And here's a Peter Parker that I thought was fabulous. Protecting Flash Thompson. And with a name like Brother Power and Sister Sun. It just didn't get any better than that. Well, maybe it does. But back in the day, Sal Buscema, when he's doing this and he's doing the Hulk, and then later he's doing Rom, great artist, doesn't get enough praise and publicity. Now I'm going to show a Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, which I cry foul at. Here he takes his mask off and shows his identity to the Black Cat. The reason I cry foul, she's in love with the guy, has posters of him in her wall. She steals because she loves him. And when he takes his mask off, she recoils in horror and says, "Put the mask back on." So she's nuts. So anyway, I thought, oh, get grief.
Yeah.
The writers wouldn't dare let him be happy and have a nice, date. I mean, they had to mess up Betty Brant. They had to mess everything else up.
Well, Micah, you and I were talking for the show too that we both wish we looked like Peter Parker because he's a pretty good looking guy.
Yeah, as far as guys go, you do a lot work. Like you could be a Harry Osborn look, One more Peter Parker. Of course, they had to change the name for no good reason to the Spectacular Spider-Man. But look at this perspective shot of Tombstone. And I know that a lot of people think Lee Marvin would have made a great Doc Savage. Mm-hmm. I agree. I also think he would have made a great Tombstone.
Yeah.
And Tombstone is just a tough cuss, and just amazing. Of course, now we're getting into the more modern era, and you're going to see a lot of the background disappear. And so they'll just have a few lines showing that they're in a room. Very basic. So they went all out on the cover, but I think it's a great cover. So, but now let's head over back to the chat and, of course, Spinner Rack. So I believe I left off with a Missing Mars comment. And yes, there we go. Awesome Comics Day. I agree. There's Gratu. The colorist was a her. Yes. Could that be Marie? I'm not sure. Low GRE. Let me know what that means, curator. I have that card set. Good. Big 52 pickup player. Yep. Different kind of cards. I hate it. Just kidding. Hey, the acquisition of Dr. Fibes is here. Great show, guys. Why, thank you, sir.
Hey, Dr. Fibes.
Love that cover. I think he was the stunt man, maybe. Okay. Many of those early Marvel team-up covers, particularly the Romita ones, are excellent. Agreed. Kind of dig that one Spidey team-up cover for certain reasons. She's a Iron Man fan, for those of you that don't know. Yep. And Jay says, so what's going on with the fossils? We are still alive and breathing and doing well. Breen doesn't tell us Breen will start posting on Twitter when his Cincinnati Reds start doing well. So knows we need to see more of the Great Ones covers. I think didn't I just show one? Yeah. I always like that Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man picture box of him taking off his mask. Yes. Did Roy Thomas, creator Wolverine, work on those Spideys? Could have been Jerry Conway. I'm not too sure.
Maranya, I would answer to Maranya. We're showing plenty of John Romita Sr. Great One covers.
That's right. That's right. We always show Great One. Here's Graphic Man Spinner Rack. Hello, Horror Mike. Meyer Greenblatt says Tombstone's costume by Men's Warehouse. Yeah. Good stuff. I thank you, Lead Paint. Very cool book, says Michael Taylor. I was saying low grade better than no. Okay, well, fantastic. Fantastic. Horror Mike, hello. And Curator says he will never post again. I don't know who that is, but he'll tell us. New controversy, guys. Roy Thomas is now claiming to have created everything so he can get movie money. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. And I wrote the first word for That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly. So, all right. And now we're going back to Dave. Dave, what do you got to show us?
Well, I'll jump into a little bit of art since you showed some.
There we go. Yeah.
So I think this is from their 1992 set. At least it has a copyright in 1992. You know, there were quite a number of those Marvel sets, as you guys know, in the 90s. I probably have 8 or 9 of them. But the reason I'm showing you this one here is because...
I get the joke.
Let's see here. I just happen to have the original color art.
Yeah.
Now, if there's any youngsters who are... Oops, I'm sorry.
That's the wrong card. He showed this to me earlier. You're going to love it. See, there's the front.
If any youngsters out there are watching, there was a day when they did not color digitally. And this is one of them. If I were to take this apart, it would look like an animation cell. It has like an acetate clear outline with the pencil or the ink art on it. And then behind it, it was airbrushed. And here is the back of the card that has the headshots.
Yes. The
colorist was a guy by the name of Paul Mounts, who did a lot of coloring work back in the 90s. I don't know whether Paul still is in the industry or not, but
that is cool.
And then I showed you the wrong one, but let me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now you haven't showed me this. The back of that.
Oops.
Oh, there you go. Great.
So there's the headshots that you see. And it's just really, really cool art.
You're almost tempted to have the little cards laying around close by to to prove it to somebody that comes over.
I had to go down to my basement and go through my cards. And it took me half an hour to find those 2 cards. And then I'll show you one other color piece, and I'll be damned if I can recall what this was to. I don't have, if it was 2 cards, I don't have the set. So this was Bagley, Mark Bagley pencils, and then I'm guessing it was Paul Mounts colors, and Milgram was the inker on it.
Oh,
of course,
really?
So this would have either been maybe like 3 cards.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
You know, I'll kind of show you something else. It's not Spider-Man, but it'll kind of make sense. But
Now, are these
couple of
limited, like 500 printed, and you've got number
oh, this
300?
this is the only one.
The
This
only
is what
one.
these are the original color that they made the cards from. Yeah, so it's a one and only.
Cool.
And then let me just, so I can kind of make this point, and unfortunately I don't have the cards that go with it, and I realize this is not Spider-Man, but the Jim Lee X-Men set, there was a grouping of 9 cards. There's 9 characters there, and so it was kind of the so-called chase cards. There were 9 cards that you would have to collect to put this together. So this was the original that they made the cards from, and then of course they just cut them into 9 sections. And
Wow. Yeah.
getting quite a glare there.
You know, back when we were kids, they would have particular cards for like Charlie's Angels or other things. But on the back of the cards, you'd put all the cards together and it would make this big picture. So
Yeah.
it's kind of what they're doing there on just the front there. But,
Okay,
wow.
moving back into the comics.
Beautiful.
We have issue 51. Another Kingpin cover. Now this, if you look, it's in a Mylight with a backing board, and then I put it in a top loader. And some of my books that I put in the spinner rack, this one probably at one point was in the spinner rack. I do this to kind of protect the book on some of them.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why, this was always kind of one of my favorite covers. At the time, when I first got it, like I said, but 35, 40 years ago, I thought it was so clever.
It gives the impression that his eyes are really that big as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who doesn't love a little Mary Jane on a cover?
That's right. Yeah, her job is to take pictures of very famous people, which hypnotizes them or something, and they go in the back room and get drugged up. I think that's the plot line.
And then
there we go.
Here's a
very nice.
It's interesting about some of these covers like this. You kind of wonder if they're under some significant deadlines because nothing in the background, just
right,
plain
right.
No. It's not like they're in a room. It's just like they're in a floating white space there. But,
when that was reprinted, I think they tried to add some detail in the background. I may remember that wrong.
In Marvel Tales, or
yeah.
I don't know why. It seems like I pulled a lot of Kingpin. But
well, for a while there, he was the bad guy. Yeah,
love the perspective there of the drawing.
Yeah, because he's saying, I could smoke the cigarette this one hand. I don't need both hands to deal with Spider-Man.
yeah, just one hand to hold you down, Spider-Man. Yeah. Even though you can lift a car. I always like this cover just because of that kind of that negative looking background.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Very nice.
And
oh yeah,
we have a little Quicksilver action.
I don't think they can convey just how deadly it would be to be attacked by somebody that fast.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think they ever did a Marvel DC crossover of Quicksilver against Flash, did they?
No.
Yeah.
And I would have brought in the Wizard from, the Golden Age as well. So
earlier I showed you, here's Johnny Storm once again getting in between Spider-Man and his villain.
Yep.
I showed you earlier a Green Goblin book where he was in between them. And then here's probably one of the strongest Spider-Man villains ever created, The Coming of the Kangaroo.
Or the mind worm.
Yeah. I saw, Mike. When I was going through my boxes, I saw that one. I'm going to pass on it. But
I left that out. Yeah.
I pulled this one just because sometimes it's some of the villains that come up with are just plain goofy. This is one of them.
I'll show the photograph cover of the guy dressed as Spider-Man, but I won't show the mind worm.
And then I'll end this round with my God, yet more Kingpin stuff. Pulling the tablecloth out from under him there.
Yep.
Pulling the rug out from under somebody. Well, just pulling the tablecloth. I didn't know I liked Kingpin as much as I did.
Oh, he's great. He's
anyway.
fabulous. We agree, Doctor. We agree. Okay, let me show a couple things, and then maybe we'll see a video of yours. But I wanted to show one of my oldies. It's number 11, and poor thing has been beat up, but there's something about that. That's pretty good Ditko, I think. Look how creepy the octopus looks. I mean, he's like weird and sinister. A fabulous cover here, the Man Wolf. Great perspective. You get the boat at the bottom, the hands way back. Just great. And I don't know, did you show 122 yet or not?
No, haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Well, his will be a little better than mine because this is my childhood copy. I read this and read this and read this. And it just blew my mind as a kid that they killed the goblin. And sorry for that spoiler, but you see how rough that is. This was well loved by me. I read it and read it. I tried to draw the goblin on this, and
Micah, did you get it for 10 cents? It says 10 cents on the cover.
I probably did.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, we had we called them garage sales. Back east, they call them tag sales or yard sales or something. But I'm going to show. Dare I show something from the 90s? But I really enjoyed it. And it was Al Milgrom covers, but the Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. And, of course, it was a time period I didn't really care for, but I really liked these bad guys together. And I just maybe a sucker or a sap. But the Beetle, I thought the Beetle was very intriguing. And he's kind of like the makeshift leader in this little quartet. And, of course, every now and then they get help. But the Rhino and the Beetle just together. And here's the 4th issue. I liked it so much. In my little stack here, I have about 3 copies of each. So, although the logo, the confused Spider-Man. But anyway, this was a time when you had Web of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, a little too much oversaturation. I agree. But as you can see, I really liked it. It was these Al Milgrom, on the cover, just pretty cool to me. I mean, I'm not really plugging the 90s so much, but I liked it. So I may be one of the few people out there that actually likes that. But are you ready to show that video?
Sure.
All right. Let me bring it in.
Hey guys, for this segment.
Okay, I'm going to pause it already. I'll just give a little introduction.
Sure.
I did this video because I really couldn't bring, stuff in and show it on camera like this. So I put this video together. Now, I want to go back to the very beginning here. What is with this Lost Lake introduction? Well, I saw that video kind of on somebody else's channel, and I kind of liked it. Lost Lake is a reference to a camping ground here in Colorado. My wife and I love to fly fish, and we do a fair amount of camping. And Lost Lake is a campground outside of about 17 miles outside of Crested Butte, Colorado. And Crested Butte is one of our ski towns. And it's a beautiful setting, a beautiful lake up at around 10,200 feet. So that's the reference there. All right, let me see if I can get this thing going again.
Hey guys, for this segment, thought we'd take a tour of my comic book room and look at some of the Spider-Man stuff in the comic book room. And for those of you who've seen my home tours, you know that my comic book room is in a very large loft area of the house. So we'll just kind of take a walk in. And by the way, I'm shooting this on Easter Sunday. So you will see some Easter stuff here. Here's some Easter comic books. I know they're not Spider-Man, but
Nice.
nonetheless, and hopefully I'm not moving too shaky or turning around too fast and get you guys dizzy. But here is Ghost Rider. This is from XM Studios quarter scale statue. And then we've got some Ghost Rider comics above it there. But anyway, here's the comic book room. And you know, it's made up kind of four things. Kind of limited edition art, statues, mainly quarter scale, and then some just comic book collectibles, odds and ends, toys and stuff like that, lunch boxes, and then of course comic books in a spinner rack. But I'm just going to do kind of a quick walk through here, and then we'll look at some specific stuff.
Wow.
Here's a small bookcase with just some of the odds and ends.
Those lunch boxes are great.
Some more statues. And then the final and fourth spinner rack. All right, and there's kind of the where we entered over there. You can see, unfortunately, some of my art is on the floors. I've exceeded my my hanging space. This room is very, very open. The house is somewhat of a newer house, and it has a very open floor plan. And so you can kind of see that two of what would be the four walls are just open and overlook the family room. And over there, over that side is the living room. So it's really, and then it's got a couple good sized windows. So it's very limited in wall space. Yeah, I pretty much stopped buying art because I just don't have room for it anymore. All right, well, let's take a look at some of the specific things in here.
Mike, I'll just add before somebody comments. Yeah, I know there's a lot of sunlight pouring in there. I get it.
Oh,
Usually those shutters are closed up. We had some blinds over a couple of the big windows over the family room. So really, this room stays relatively dark. You'd be surprised, even though it's in the main part of the house, it remains dark. But of course, cameras need light. So
you bet. If you want to photograph anything, you got to.
Okay, this is Green Goblin by Sideshow Collectibles. It's a quarter scale piece. This is the very first quarter scale piece that I ever ordered. Kind of went down the old proverbial rabbit hole on this one. It was back in around 2004, I believe. Saw it at San Diego Comic-Con. Took my wife there. It was the first time my wife had ever gone to the Comic-Con. I had been going to San Diego for quite a number of years, and I'd skipped a few years and went to 2004 with my wife. And I came across Sideshow's booth and never even heard about him. Didn't know anything about quarter scale statues, but I was quite taken with them. And my wife, she really liked it too. So we ordered the piece, and that's kind of how we got our start down the pathway of collecting these higher end statues. Okay, and here's, of course, one of Spider-Man's classic villains, the Rhino. This guy really doesn't fit, quite frankly, into the cubbyhole here. He's a pretty massive piece, but really well done. Let me see if I can get a little bit better view of his portrait there.
Nice.
All right, there he is. And then moving on over, here is Spidey versus Venom. Now this is not quarter scale. This is, I'm going to guess it's 6. I think it's 6, maybe 5th, but probably 6th. But anyway, look at the engineering of the way they've got Spidey kind of pushing off and just hanging out there in space. And then, of course, there's Venom. And interestingly, if you look at the bell, I'm sorry, if you look at the base there, it's got a bell, and of course, you all know that Venom's one weakness is loud sounds, and I believe in one of their first encounters, that's how Spidey was able to defeat Venom, was by going up and ringing a church bell in a church tower. Okay, here's my primary Spider-Man quarter scale statue, and as you can see, it's Spidey swinging off of a girder there. It's got some explosion down at the bottom of the base, which are presumably pumpkin bombs going off.
Wow. Nice.
But once again, very dynamic Spidey pose there, swinging off the girder, and there he is shooting his web. And the engineering, just once again amazing. How, you know, the only place he hooks into the base there is on his arm, as you can see, which is really a cool classic Spidey pose. By the way, in case we couldn't see it, but there he is shooting his web as he's coming off of that girder there. A little bit closer shot. Okay, and then here we have a classic Spider-Man villain. This is, of course, Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock. And this is another quarter scale statue. This time, this one's made by XM Studios, a manufacturer and designer out of Singapore. What's really kind of cool, if we can kind of go in here. There, Doc Ock's grabbed Peter Parker's camera. There's his portrait. And look at how the arm there is kind of crunching the cement. And by the way, this is a bank, and I'll kind of show you that here in a moment. And there you can see back behind him NK below his waist there, between his legs, spells bank behind him. And there, of course, he's got a sack of gold money. And there's even, I don't know if you can see it, but there's even some gold coinage there on the base. But very intricate detail there, as you can see.
That is nice.
Kind of move over here.
Yeah, I would add Doc Ock's probably my favorite Spidey villain.
And there you can see it's got a broken window. But one of my favorite pieces, just fabulously well done. And here's one of my collectible lunch boxes. You all probably recognize this box, Superheroes lunch box with Spidey there.
Nice.
And then we've got another
Wow.
one down below. That's a more modern box. And then one time at the Denver Comic Con, there was an exhibitor who makes these hats here in the USA. This is a leather, I don't know what they call these, crusher hats, but kind of, it's got a, as you can see, a Spider-Man look to it.
Yes.
And then up above is a Spider-Man Jack-in-the-Box toy. There's the
Very
handle.
cool.
And then here's a Hot Toys Spider-Man action figure. All right, let's start looking at some of the limited edition art. This is a piece from Sideshow Collectibles, and pardon the glare at the very top there. It's actually one of these pieces that's made on aluminum. And that's why it's got the really shiny look to it. But of course, a classic Spider-Man Green Goblin pose with the pumpkin bombs flying all around Spider-Man and exploding. And then, as we move over here, here is another piece with Spider-Man with some of his villains above him. This is once again one of the limited edition pieces from Sideshow. And it's done on, and pardon if I'm saying this incorrectly, it's that giclée, I believe, process where it's kind of done on a canvas. It looks like it's been painted, oil painting on a canvas, which is a look I really like.
Yeah.
Here is, I believe it's what, Contest of Champions, if I recall correctly, an Alex Ross limited piece, and
Secret Wars.
got yours
Secret
truly in
Wars,
it, Spider-Man. But a pretty famous cover.
I don't think Nightcrawler was there.
Okay, here I think is the very first limited edition giclée style piece that I've got from Alex Ross, and was also done, I think the pencil work, the layout probably was done by John Romita. It's also signed by him. I got this at San Diego too, saw it, and it's of course a who's who of the Spider-Man universe, and just great piece. There was a day I could probably name off each and every character there, but there's a few of them now that escape me. Okay, here's another limited Alex Ross piece done in that canvas style. This, of course, is Spider-Man and the Sinister Six villains.
Nice.
And interestingly enough, on this piece, let me grab it here, they actually made they used it as a comic book cover. Here it is.
Wow.
And actually, I've got it in Mylar, and I won't take the time to try to take it out, but if you opened it up, it would be the entire piece that you see there.
Oh, it's wraparound. Okay.
Yeah, it's wraparound.
And finally, here's another Alex Ross, John Romita Sr. Combo piece. Classic Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin. And this is a limited edition, but within it, it's kind of its own limited edition. They did, I think, 12 of these. And it's kind of a special piece to me because, get in there, it has a special remark done by John Romita Sr., and it's the only thing I have original of that John Romita did. And you know, he's pretty much my favorite Spider-Man artist.
That is great.
But yeah, isn't that cool?
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, the name of my channel, of course, is Spinner Rack Studios, and so it's fitting that we would look at some Spider-Man comic books in the Spinner Rack. This is my gold key rack. I have two or four racks, two originals and two remakes, and but this is the oldest of my original. And there we've got a Spidey piece right there. And this, of course, is Spider-Man, issue 73. Man Mountain Marco kicking ass on Spider-Man there. Let's go ahead and spin the rack here. And, well, there's another one.
Nice.
This is issue 72, a Shocker cover. And then right below it, we actually have a Captain America issue 138.
Cool.
But it also has Spider-Man in it, as you can see.
Hello, Bronco.
And then right below it is issue number 18 of Ghost Rider. And once again, Spider-Man, a few other characters. There's Hercules back there, and you can see your Black Widow's actually kind of just underneath the Hercules, and then of course the blue-eyed thing. And then as we go down, I think we're going to run across yet another Spider-Man title. And here we have issue number 44.
Wonderful.
Spidey fighting the lizard. Of course, this is the John Romita Sr. cover. And let's spin this rack again, see if we can find anything else.
I think we're going to see a beetle.
Start at the top of the rack here.
There we go.
And there's one. This is issue 94. Where he's facing off with the beetle. And there's Aunt May in peril. And actually, we've got one way down at the bottom here. Here's
Now you've been Micah.
Hey, all right.
books. This is issue number 11 with the Inhumans and Black Bolt front and center.
Don't forget to open it later.
Yeah,
Knowing
if
it's
I go back
Spidey.
in time, I'd open that sucker and see.
Yeah.
And we'll spin this sucker one more time here. I don't think there's anything on this particular side, but we'll just take a quick look at this rack on this side here. I
These
do
are all
keep
amazing.
a pretty wide variety of books on my racks. I know this isn't a Black Hawk show, but just love these Black Hawk covers.
Yes.
All right, let's spin this one more time. And once again, I'm not sure there's any Spider-Man on here, but just give you a feel for some of the books I have currently in the rack. And I do tend to change these around. And I think that's it for this rack. So let's head to another one. Okay, this is a reproduction rack of the Hey Kids rack. And we'll kind of slide down the rack here. I do believe on this side there is one Spidey book.
And there it is.
And there it
Yeah.
is. And
Oh yeah.
this is the
200,
Spectacular
right?
Spider-Man number 200. It's one
Yeah.
of those shiny books. I'm kind of a sucker for these.
That was Sal Buscema. Good stuff.
All right, let's spin this rack.
There's a squeak. Somebody asked about squeaks.
That's right.
And we'll start at the top. Got that reproduction Wonder Woman number 1 in there. Sadly, it is a reproduction.
Is the Witching Hour reproduction?
No,
Okay.
no, that's an original.
Cool.
That was a Neil.
And towards the bottom there, yeah, there's yet another Spider-Man book.
and you've been
Yeah.
bringing.
All right.
And of course, this is issue number 1 of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Great cover.
Mike, I'm like you.
by
I love that
Sal Buscema.
tarantula cover.
And kind of Spider-Man in one of his classic poses there,
Yes.
kind of crouched on a wall. Okay. I'm getting a little bit of a glare, but there's a more recent book, and I'm sure you guys have seen this. They did really a clever design, and they ended up reprinting this, doing multiple colors. Of course, the artist, cover artist, was Gleason. And then moving down, there are a couple more Spider-Man related books, both more recent. Let's see here. This is issue 24 of one of the more recent Spider-Man volumes. Yeah, I just really like the art style there. You got Spider-Man just barely swinging over the heads of
Doesn't that look like Gwen Stacy?
some New Yorkers there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of.
And then
Yeah. Definitely.
here's a virgin copy of classic Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. All right, let's spin this. I think this is the final. Oops, it wants to turn on me there. The final side.
There's the Captain Marvel.
And here we have another team up.
Now, all of these
This
books
time,
were in the
this is
rack.
issue number
I didn't,
16.
purposely
Spidey
putting
and
it
Captain
in
Marvel.
for this
All
show.
right.
They were all already there.
That's cool. Spontaneity.
And I believe that's it for this particular rack.
Very nice.
All right, this is also a Hey Kids reproduction rack, but this is kind of an interesting one. It's made to fit slab comic books, and do have a few Spider-Man books on this rack. But first, let's just kind of do a quick look up and down the rack. There, I don't know if you spied it, but there is a book. And this happens to be Spider-Man number 4.
Look at that.
First appearance of the Sandman. And pardon the glare. You know, these cameras need good light, and so I've got, as you can tell, the windows open. we'll spin her around here. And we'll take a look at what's on this side. I'm not sure, I don't think we got anything Spider-Man wise, but we'll just go ahead and take a scan down the rack. Give it another spin.
Remind me to talk about Spider-Man 4 here pretty soon.
And one more spin.
There's the Spider.
There is Spider-Man on this particular side here. Actually, there's
Yep.
2 books. The first is down below here,
Oh, sweet.
Avengers
Number 11.
number 11, and I think this is the first appearance of Spider-Man on an Avengers cover. And then we have another oldie here, and this is issue number
Hey.
2,
Beautiful.
and of course this is the first appearance of the Vulture. Let me see if I can stand in the glare there.
That is outstanding.
All right, that does it for this particular rack. Okay, and this is my fourth rack and original Read One Today comics rack. You guys have seen this rack, I'm sure, quite a bit. And there's Spidey. And this is my reader's rack. I have a lot of kids' books, some Spider-Man, but I just kind of wanted to show you. It's primarily readers, a lot of Archies, Richie Riches, as you can see. We'll spin it here real quick. I don't know if we're going to see any Spider-Man on it or not. Some classics illustrated. The cool thing about this rack is I can have like little kids over and they can pull comic books out of this rack. They can read them. And I generally even let them take a few home if they want.
Definitely.
There's a Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, the
You know,
unexpected.
of all things, there's a issue of Unexpected, Aces High. And even a Western up at the top there, Montana Kid. Charlton book, hopefully Steve is watching. Okay, and there we go. There's some Spider-Man.
Yeah. Ripley's.
All right,
Cool.
guys. Well, listen, that concludes the tour of the comic book room and this segment. And Micah, back to you.
All right. Fantastic stuff. So I guess I'll remove that. Let's see. A Bronco Bear slipped in a while ago. Hello, Broncos. Nice to see you. And yes, the great legend. At the end of the show, I'll talk about the great legends. Let me mention Spider-Man 4. When you read that as a kid, I thought it was so comical that he basically captures him in a vacuum cleaner. And then he wants to make money selling pictures of himself fighting. So he picks up some random sand, like from an ashtray, and he's, punching the sand, taking pictures of himself. And it doesn't register in your brain because you're a young kid. You go, that's fake news, totally staged, not cool. But back then, he's like, oh, this is great. So I was all over the emotions there. But hey, when you got to make money, you got to sell those pictures.
Yeah.
So you justify it, But it's great, great. I love Spider-Man 4. Giant-sized governor of kung fu on the rack. Yeah, Eric doesn't say master because I have to say master all the time. He did that for my benefit. Yeah, thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. There's Gary saying, "Great show, Spider." Yes,
Thank
great,
you, Greg.
great stuff. Um, Let me show a couple, and then I want to ask you a question about your good old days.
Okay.
One more comment here. Michael Taylor says, "Great room, love everything in it, especially the Batman lunchbox and the spinner rack." Yes, I loved all those lunch boxes. And by the lunch boxes, you had some of the paperbacks. That's how a lot of us got introduced to these old Ditko stories. Um, Another way to get introduced to them are the old Marvel tales. And of course, I'm trying to get at least the first 100 of these. To me, this was one of the best ways to read Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Was an old Marvel tale. Very quickly, I have a couple of covers to show. I love this cover of Marvel Tales starring Spider-Man. Just to me, I think that's just beautiful. It's got a lot of words on it, but that's just a great poster shot to me. It's everything you want. It's a square bound. You got the Human Torch in there. And I had these pulled earlier. So to go ahead and bring you real quick, here's some Medusa.
There we go.
And here's the one I commented on earlier. I'm so tough. I don't need two hands. I can just crush you with one. So I got this for 25 cents because it had a couple of little tiny holes in it. So it's been somebody's attic. But you're kidding? 25 cents for a
what a deal.
Couldn't pass it by. So I warned Dave I'd be asking this so he knows it's coming. I've been trying to get a little bit more in depth. So I asked Jambo, "Where'd you get your name, Jambo?" I asked Captain Strange Life, what was it like coming to America? English wasn't his first language. So how did you get into Spider-Man? And at what age? And how did it come about?
Yeah. First of all, comic book curator asked, Dave, do you ever set up your spinner rack up year and month? And the answer to that is no. Just very random, pretty much random. So, it's always interesting, on Rod and Shannon's show, they talked about and how they got into it, and others, you see videos. I'm a little bit different. I always hear these stories, and like Captain Strange Life talked about as a little kid getting into it. When I was a youngster up until about age 8, 9, we lived in a suburb of Denver. And I can remember my mom taking me over to the local 7-Eleven. I get a, what is it called, an icy or a Slurpee? I can't remember which the 7-Eleven had. And my mom would let me buy some comic books now and then off the spinner rack. But quite frankly, I really don't have a lot of memory of them. I can remember a monster book, and I'm pretty sure it was the Hulk. And oddly enough, I can kind of remember getting some Aquaman, which is odd because I don't read or really care for Aquaman as an adult or as a collector. And then we did something happened that put a stop to that. And that is my dad was an airline pilot. And we moved out of Denver up into the mountains of Colorado, up into a county by the name of Summit County, which just happens to be where a number of the ski areas are in Colorado. This would have been probably around 71 or 72. And, if there was a place in that entire county that sold comic books, I don't know where it was. The Summit County has really grown with the ski areas, and it's quite a bit different. But when we were up there, it was pretty rural. And in fact, there were no major grocery stores. There were no 7-Elevens or any convenience stores like that up there at the time. In fact, for several years, my mom, every couple of weeks, she'd have to go back down to Denver, which was about a 2-hour drive at that time, get groceries, stock up for a couple weeks, and there was a small market in a town called Dillon, but for like I said, several years, we had to go to grocery stores down in Denver, so there just wasn't much up there. What I did do is I fished a lot. I fly fished. My father was a big outdoorsman, so I became an expert skier, but I did not a lot of camping, backpacking, but didn't see another comic book for a number of years until we went on a trip up the Alaskan Highway. And I'm going to guess that I was about 14 years old then. And out of sheer boredom, we stopped somewhere like at some convenience store, and they just happened to have comic books. And I grabbed a bunch, including Spiderman. And that's kind of how I got into it. You know how those books are. I mean, they're like soap operas, essentially.
Mhm.
And they're pretty clever, of course, because you'll be reading it, and they'll refer to some past issue, as witnessed in issue number whatever. But still, at that point in time, I just didn't have any. I started picking up books when I could, but like I said, there just wasn't much up where we lived. And then a major event change happened, and I'm going to guess, Mike, I was probably 16 or 17 years old. And a good friend of mine, his name was Kurt, we called him Kirby. He and I were, I don't know what the hell we were doing down in Denver. We were still living up in Summit County. And we were coming out of downtown Denver area down a street called Broadway, which is Denver's primary street that cuts all of the west side to the east side streets. And we're coming down Broadway about 2 miles out of downtown Denver. And lo and behold, out of the corner of my eye, I see something that says comic books. And I said, Kirby, pull you, turn around. And we go around the block. We come back down, and there was a Mile High Comics. I didn't even know that such a thing existed, that there were comic book stores. And that kind of started my journey into comic books. I soon thereafter somehow came across Alan Light's The Buyer's Guide, which I'm sure a number of you remember. It became the Comic Buyer's Guide, run by Don and Maggie Thompson for quite a while. But initially it was Alan Light, and through that newspaper, that classified ads, and also the Mile High store, that's kind of how I started collecting. And I will say that when we walked into that store, one of the things I saw was a Marvel Treasury. Had no idea that these even existed. And I bought this Marvel Treasury that day at that store. It's the only thing I bought. But so anyway, that's kind of my backstory. And then, like I said, I just started buying. I got a hold slot at the Mile High store, went to college in Colorado, and just, started ordering stuff from the Comic Buyer's Guide.
Great. I love the treasuries. The weirdest one is with the Hulk. You just showed it. That's why I'm thinking of it. The Winter Olympics.
Well, remember, I was a big skier, and I lived up,
Yeah.
in a ski town area. So this one really caught my eye.
And I believe it had Herb Trimp artwork or Trimpy.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, Milgram and Abel on the cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
But bizarre stuff. And that's not the only treasury they shared, the Hulk and Spider-Man. They fought each other again. I think it was sensational. Yeah.
On this one here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I pulled 4 of the treasuries.
There you go.
And then, of course, I pulled those crossover.
Great.
So anyway, that's my origin story.
Yeah. I did a lot of the same camping and a little bit of fishing, but you're more in the trout country. I'm more in bass country. But my parents would take me to go see the redwoods, and or they go, oh, look, there's a moose over there. I'd have to put down my Huey, Dewey, and Louie and look up, and I go, "Wow, that's great." And then I'd be right back, in the back seat.
Yeah.
Uh, they probably thought, "What kind of kid do we have?" But hey, I just loved comics. Um, totally adored them. And that Spider-Man 122 was one of my first Spider-Mans. And like I said, just they could kill a villain like that. As before, Marvel would bring things back all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you showed that 200, Spectacular Spider-Man 200. That's creepy in a way because Harry Osborn Jr., he's been getting a lot of nuts, and he's also the Green Goblin. And then you get to see his little boy, and his little boy shows signs of being kind of crazy. And you think, oh my goodness, this is a never-ending supply of the Green Goblin. But the whole characterization of Spider-Man is here's a guy that's not rich, he's not famous, he's got a rough time, and he keeps thinking, if I could just get out on my own in my own apartment. Well, as soon as he gets his own apartment, his troubles don't stop.
No, they don't stop.
The writers never let up on the poor guy.
No.
So,
and I will tell you, Mike, and I don't know what the rest of the folks out there think. Maybe I still get the Spider-Man titles more out of habit. They have just destroyed that character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They just beat up on him constantly. He's become a sad sack. You almost hope he puts himself out of his misery. And they have him, I think, fighting way too powerful of villains. He's in these world-ending events. Spider-Man is not that kind of character. He's not Superman. He doesn't have those kind of powers. And his life is just in shambles. His ex-wife Mary Jane is married to somebody else and has kids. I don't know what in the last 20 years they've destroyed that character, in my opinion. But anyway,
my cutoff was Maximum Carnage in the 90s. When they started, everybody gets a little piece of Carnage, and now they're a crazy person, and they're, and just the rampage that happened in New York with all those dead bodies, and I just said, no. They would have called out, the militia or the armed forces, and they would put a stop to this. And it just, I thought, I'm a grown man. I'm reading this stuff. But I stopped. I kept going with Fantastic Four to the end, 416. But I stopped. And they were trying to introduce Spider-Man's parents. Their curator went to 86. So that's a nice place to be as well. Yeah. But I liked the Deadly Foes. That was in the 90s, and I liked some of the 90s stuff, which was in the main title. Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Eric.
Yeah, I just I stopped with Mark Bagley. A lot of people really like McFarlane, but I thought the eyes were getting too big, and just
I agree.
So, for example, I have certain things like I showed earlier, and if I think the eye's too big, I will get up my black marker, and I will autocorrect and fix some of the things. I'm not embarrassed to do something like that. I actually will. But to me, Spider-Man's eyes are that, that's. What did you think of the original Electric Company with Spider-Man not saying anything, but you see his word balloons on the screen?
Now that goes back to my origin story, and I really am not familiar with it. And the reason why is you guys are this is unbelievable, but when we first moved up to Summit County, there was no cable or anything like that up there. They had a transmitter at the top of one of the mountains that was over by Breckenridge, which was quite a ways away from us, that carried the three primary Denver channels, the NBC, ABC, and CBS affiliates. One of them came in real good and clear. The other one was kind of fuzzy, and the third one was unwatchable. And so as a consequence, I hear you guys, you're talking about those TV shows you watched as kids and teenagers. We never had any of that. It wasn't until finally my dad, when those really huge satellite dishes came out, those 8-footers, and my dad got one of those, but I was probably, 17 or so when we got it. And then hell, we could get all of the live feeds,
Yeah.
But we went from barely getting anything to, getting all of the HBOs, all of the Showtimes. But as a consequence, when I was growing up, I just did not get to see a lot of those TV programs.
So you didn't see the 1970s TV show Spider-Man?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen some of them since,
Mhm.
but the Saturday morning cartoons and all. I just, I can't remember which. I think maybe it was NBC that we got real well, but just was not a lot of TV watching, which is why I became an avid skier and a fly fisherman and stuff like that.
Let me show a card I made based on the old Spider-Man. This is what I thought they should have done. They should have had Spider-Man. So there's Telly Savalas as the Kingpin.
Yeah.
James Mason as the schemer. And it's so blurry now.
Wow.
But Robert Culp as Bullseye. But so I would have called it Spider-Man versus the Kingpin. And if you bring in Telly Savalas, so 1978, you don't have to give him a superpower. You just make Telly Savalas really, really strong, and everything he touches breaks,
Yeah.
And you could have had some super villains. But the problem with the TV show was he's fighting guys that are, stealing jewels.
Yeah.
And it takes a whole hour to figure out who's doing it. And he captures them with the 1970s boogie music and the bass
Yeah.
guitar. As a kid, I thought, hey, at least it's Spider-Man. But that was my same thought of the Hulk TV show. I love the Hulk TV show, and I was the right age for it. But then when I got my hands on some Hulk comic books, that little yellow paperback that reproduces the first 6
Yeah.
issues, I'm reading that for the first time thinking, this is way better than the TV show. This gamma bomb and all that. So I like I said, I was such a nut for the comic books. Show had Thayer David as a bad guy. My favorite Dark Shadow characters. And Dave, you're not related to that guy, are you?
No, but I don't know if you guys know, my name is David Thayer.
Yeah.
My last name is, in fact, Thayer. So
I'm reminded of that every time I send you an email. So
yeah.
yeah, you can see Telly as the keeper. Sure. And Bullseye, Robert Culp, he's a star. Yeah, we get some publicity. And all you got to do is have him throw things and then cut and then show a bullseye. Perfect, and you have to just match up the scenes. It's not too hard to make a superhero story without CGI and
Yeah.
but it was, once again, he's saving the day, by stopping jewel thieves, which was fine. But anyway, I'll take it. It was a nice attempt, but the Tobey Maguire Peter Parker movies had a great J. Jonah Jameson lookalike. I
They
thought.
did. Yeah.
I thought he was great, better than the guy from the 1970s TV show. But
Yeah, and he's the guy who does the is it Allstate ads? Isn't it the same guy? He's bald now, but
or farmers insurance. I think
farmers, is it? Okay, yeah, maybe farmers. Yeah,
we
remember.
are farmers. Yeah, there. David was an excellent actor. Yes, Fireball. He was the promoter in Rocky 1. Well. From what I can determine, this is fake news. Freeman is still alive. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think I would have heard about that.
Yeah, Tom Cruise would have been a good
Tom, he probably would have made a good, dare I say it? Fortunately, the crowd can't throw things at me. Back in the 80s, Michael J. Fox might have been a pretty good Peter Parker, especially if you wanted to bring in a real big guy to be the Hulk, because, Michael J. Fox wasn't that tall.
Yeah.
And, if you're looking for stars, but David played Nero Wolfe before he passed. Okay. We are learning a lot. Do you have anything else to show us?
Oh, yeah, I've got quite a bit, actually.
All right.
Better part of the night. Okay, I'll kind of continue with some art. I kicked myself early in the days when I was going to San Diego Con. I just really didn't get original art. I mean, I just didn't really think about it or pay attention to it. So I don't have much. And I dare say when I first started going to San Diego, if I would have put my mind to it, I think I could have picked up some John Romita Sr. ASM art and maybe even a cover, although that might have been too expensive. But I don't have any of that. But here's a page from says Amazing Spider-Man 98. So I'm thinking it's an ASM page from 1998. Tom Lyle is the artist. You can see a signature down there.
Wow. Sweet. Nice.
And then here is a Untold Tales from 1997.
Okay.
There's a little bit of the torch. And then this is from Spectacular Spider-Man issue 1000. And how do you pronounce his name? Todd? Name? I'm not sure.
You're asking me.
I got this at a convention in San Diego, just walking down the aisle, maybe I got this. No, I'm sorry, I got this at Denver actually, and saw it. And then here is probably my.
Oh yeah.
So this is a piece by Gary Frank, and Gary lives in Italy. He's married to an Italian woman, so he doesn't get over here to the States much. But he came over to San Diego Comic-Con a number of years ago and did a kind of a portfolio book. And he was working at DC at the time. He was not, of course, he used to be the Hulk artist at Marvel, but he wanted to put this in his little portfolio book that he was selling. So he contacted Marvel, and he just drew it on a whim and contacted Marvel, and they gave him approval to include it. So it's kind of a semi-published cover, but interestingly, Marvel said, yeah, you can use it in your little book, but we want the rights to use it if we ever do want to. So I'm hoping that maybe someday they'll use it as a cover or a poster or something like that. But it's kind of cool. If you look, you can see that Spider-Man's hand is pushing off on the Hulk's thigh, and Hulk's about ready to come down on him. So it kind of tells a little story. Did Spider-Man get away, or did he get crushed by the Hulk there? So, all right. Moving back to books. This is the 3-part drug issue. That didn't have the code. Now the interesting thing about this story, if you recall, is it was an anti-drug story.
Yep.
So I don't know why the code would have been a problem with it, because it was basically saying don't do drugs. But you guys know the history. So here's 97, the second part of that.
Great cover. I got my copy in Kansas City. Yep.
And then here's the final.
Yeah.
Third
and
copy.
Check out his back. It's like, shouldn't there be a red spider on his back?
yeah, good eye.
Yeah.
That's got to be tiring drawing all that Spider-Man stuff. And then Just love this cover with that. Once
Nice.
again, that kind of negative
You bet.
looking background. And John Romita, senior, famous pose, the way he'd love to draw Spider-Man this way, crawling towards you like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, here is following 100 is 101.
Yeah. It's probably Eric Breen's favorite cover.
Yeah, I don't recall
For some unknown reason.
who the artist was on that.
It's probably the colorist. Yeah.
Luckily, Spider-Man wears a mask there, so you can't see.
That's
him.
right. That's right. Oh yeah. Aunt May's gonna shoot her nephew. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay back, Spider-Man. I warn you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take one more step towards that poor man.
Good judge of character she was. Yeah. There's a beauty. Is that 119?
Yeah.
Yes.
And once again, there's Spider-Man in that pose on the wall.
Yeah.
Kind of like we saw on
Boy, if you picked up a subscription around 118, you got that. You got the 2 Hulk issues.
Yeah.
You got the Death of Gwen Stacy 121, the Death of Green Goblin 120. Yeah. Then you got Luke Cage 123.
Speaking of which.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing issue because, usually these are marketing gimmicks, but in fact, she did die. And then, Micah, here's the Breening.
Yes. Oh, much better than mine, but mine's well loved. I'm sure yours is well loved too. That's beautiful colors too.
I don't think I got mine for 10 cents either. All right, I have a couple more stats. Micah, do you want me to keep going? Or?
Yeah, that's sure. That's great. I'm kind of out, so we'll just.
Okay, I'll just keep going until I run out.
A Great Man Wolf cover. Yeah. You see, Eric, I said that cover is great. Yeah. There you go.
Here's the first Punisher.
Yeah, the Molten Man. I don't know if the Molten Man ever tackled the Human Torch or not.
Yeah, I don't recall. It'd probably be a draw, huh? Okay, let's see. Almost looks like Spectacular Peter Parker #1, doesn't it?
Yeah, you should put them next to each other.
Yeah.
I envision the Molten Man teaming up with Human Torch to take on the Lava Men. So
let's see, and the guy didn't really want to draw something much different, so there we go again. Same pose.
Left to right, left to right. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Kind of a Bronze Age version of the cover you showed earlier.
Yeah, the cover I showed earlier, the Ditko cover.
Yeah.
And there you go.
I mean, to me, that's early bronze. Maybe 69 or 70. There you go.
In a category of goofy looking villains. Yeah.
Yeah, and when Eric Breen reads that, he reads that guy with the real radical.
I don't even think a human being's neck could hold that up.
No.
Here's some more Beetle action.
Yeah.
Moving to Peter Parker here.
I just don't know how you could fight with them big, long, extended fingers.
And here he's with a couple X-Men.
Yes. When I was a kid, those issues of the X-Men teaming up and stuff, those were hard to get. A beautiful Moon Knight. Like the first time Spider-Man and Nightcrawler get together. When I was a kid, that was a hot book. Yeah, I think you could probably find it pretty good easily. But
and I think this is the first Cloak and Dagger. Don't see much of them anymore. Now, interesting, there was a variant cover recently. They killed off Ms. Marvel, or sort of did, and he was holding her kind of like this. Here is an early appearance of Spider-Man in Tales to Astonish 57. Just love that deep color in his costume there.
When I was a kid, the Wasp didn't like Spider-Man, so therefore I didn't like the Wasp. So,
do you guys remember the Untold Tales of Spider-Man? This was a short-lived series that kind of did some stories in between some of the early Ditko stories, Stanley Ditko stories. And I don't know if you guys also remember, they tried this out at 99 cents. I don't know if you can see it says only 99 cents. And didn't really work too well from what I read. You would have thought they would have sold a lot of them, but let's see.
Well, I think people thought, oh, another #1 issue.
I really liked the Untold Stories series. I was disappointed when it went away. And we're down to the last batch here.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's not bad. Yeah.
And then moving into the web.
Yes, I didn't pull any web. An underrated series. Of course, it becomes official when Marvel Team Up stopped. So on the newsstand, the slot that always had Marvel Team Up, that became Web of Spider-Man. So.
And of course, got to throw in one of the gimmick covers, holograms, which just weren't very good. But yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that. And
yeah,
a little Ghost Rider is my wife's favorite character, and her favorite team book is X-Men.
There's your #1. Yep. I think even if someone doesn't like the black costume, that was a very cool cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marvel Team Up, beautiful. Great book.
This is a series I maybe have about half of the issues. I wish I kind of would have. Part of my problem too is I got into comics late, and I've told this story before, but my wife and I collect holiday collectibles, Christmas, Halloween. I got out of comic books for about a 12-year period. When you buy your first house and you get married, you focus on things other than, like buying furniture and paying off loans. But then we were buying, holiday collectibles, and I just did not focus much on comics other than Christmas comic books, which, as you guys know, I kind of specialize in. But so as a consequence, there's a series that I could have easily, I think, completed, and I just never did.
Yeah, great cover. Great cover. Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the rare no Spidey issues of Marvel.
Yeah, he was in a lot of them, wasn't he?
So the Human Torch and Thor was another good one. He had plenty of characters in that book.
Yeah. There he is with the Black Widow.
Yes.
Down to our last three.
Nice.
Super Skrull.
Great villain.
And I had a statue out there. I don't know if you saw it as I was swinging around the room there, but I do have a Super Skrull statue in my comic book room. And there is Spidey doing his best impression of Invisible Woman.
Yep.
And we'll end up with Howard the Duck.
Great, great. I couldn't
Mike,
find my Top Dog #6, where Top Dog and Spider-Man are together. What were you going to say?
that's it. That's all I've got, Micah.
Fantastic. I think it was a great little round. You're showing those Web of Spider-Man. Of course, I stopped Web of Spider-Man a little after they got to 100 issues or so. He had just come off fighting the Wolf Brothers. I thought those were great villains. And of course, he got cosmic powers for a little while
Yeah.
around that same time. What did you like the cosmic powers, or you thought, oh, this is too much?
I liked it. It was okay.
I think it was a neat little thing,
Yeah.
but I'm glad it didn't last a whole year.
No, it didn't last real long. So no, it was fun.
Okay.
It was certainly a lot better than his sad sack routine that he's doing now, where he's constantly on the death's edge and has no life and is just a miserable freak at this point. But
Here's MKF. Hello, and you'll have to watch the whole show, MKF.
we're about done.
Thanks,
Was there anything I missed that I need to answer? Or?
No, that's why I'm recapping the Web of Spider-Man. He got cosmic powers for a while. He's tried to quit a few times. You showed the one cover, number 50. Many times he's just had it, but something story-wise. I mean, for a while there, he went to the other newspaper. And just because the guy asked him questions about his camera, he goes, "Oh, this is a little uncomfortable. I got to go back to J. Jonah James."
Yeah.
I thought, come on. He's just being a nerd asking questions about your camera. But because J. Jonah never asked questions about his camera, he can work for, the old Skinflint. But so every now and then Stan would, or whoever's right there, I was like, oh, come on. You expect me to believe that. But that's just me being a curmudgeon. Go ahead.
I think, I'll just end with, I think Spider-Man, he captured me and he's my favorite character because he's kind of we saw a lot of us in him, he was kind of the not real popular guy in high school. And, so I think people could, people like us, we could kind of recognize, see ourselves in Spider-Man.
Yeah. Agreed. And the great thing about having all these old books, you can always go back and relive them.
Yeah.
And the Marvel tales are right up there with the old Amazing Spider-Mans. Now they jump around.
Yeah.
Okay. They start, and then they started all over again in the middle of Marvel tales with the reprint of Amazing 15 and so on. I enjoyed that. It was in the 1980s. I really liked that. The older ones are in the 70s, but reprinting the Romita stuff pretty good. But just great. So great time to be alive. Great time to get books. Great time to be on the Alaska Highway and pick up some Spider-Man books. So, well, Dave, I thought this was great. If you're just tuning in, this was our tribute to Spider-Man and that great web slinger. Some might be saying, Micah, what's going to happen next time? Well, before next time, I'm very busy this Saturday. I am going over to the Comic Book Memories show this coming Saturday morning, so hopefully you'll check me out over there. I have no idea what those two rascals want of me, but they've asked me to come over there. I think they're going to torture me, or it's going to be the greatest time I've ever had. It'll be one of the two. So, and then, of course, tune in next Wednesday. I'll be joined with the great legend, and we are going to do a lot of crime busting. And you see the great legend, he snuck into that master console trying to set off some sort of Gilcane alarm. But Dick Tracy and I were there to stop him. That's me. That's the angry graphic man. Look at that. Angry. You don't want to mess with me just like Bill Bixby said, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry, he says. But all right, we'll wrap it up and we'll say goodbye to everybody in the chat. Great show, guys. Thank you. Yeah, very cool. Thank you very much. Great show, guys. Missing Mars. Don't forget to So check out Spinnerack Studios channel. Subscribe to him. And there's the great legend. He'll be joining me next week. But this Saturday, don't forget to watch Comic Book Memories, where you'll see a weird, familiar face on that show again. I know that guy. Yeah, that guy is you. So, okay. Apollo stayed awake. Good. Take
Thanks,
care,
Paul.
everyone. Stay safe. See you all next week. I need to watch the replay. I think you'll like it, Rob. I really do. Excellent third episode. I appreciate that, Michael. And with that, we will say our good night. So one more chat here. I am one of us. Glad you got in there at the last second. He was there earlier today, so good. Glad you liked it. We will hit the road, and as the old fossils like to say, we will pull the plug. Happy drawing. Thank you, Dave. We'll see you.
Good night, everyone.